Okay, let's get started. I feel bad for Rabbi Willig and for everybody else, so let's get started. Obviously, in our yeshiva, we've been learning Yesh Nochlin in the Kayet Zman, and Baruch Hashem, the Zman is almost over, but it is not over yet, and some people are even finishing the parak with Bekiyas, but even those who haven't have done all the major sugyas in their morning shiur. And obviously, it's a great opportunity, especially when we invested so much time into the basic yisodos and principles of a sugya like Yerusha. So it's very, very important, and hopefully will also be, I'm sure, very enjoyable to think about how these things relate halacha l'maisa. In general, it's always important to do that, but especially in something like Yerusha, where some of the basic foundations of kind of modern inheritance and secular law are not exactly consistent with what you've been learning in Parak Yesh Nochlin, and how to resolve that in halachically appropriate ways is exactly why we're fortunate to have somebody like Rabbi Willig who's speaking with us. We've been very fortunate over the years to invite Rabbi Willig to the yeshiva, and I think this is the first time we're inviting Rabbi Willig to the virtual yeshiva. So my bracha is that hopefully we can all be in Eretz Yisrael and in yeshiva, so that this is the last time we need a virtual shiur from him. But one of the great things about Rabbi Willig is if we should need more virtual shiurim in the future, Rabbi Willig's always willing to participate and help. So we really appreciate him here and look forward to his expertise and learning this wonderful sugya from Rabbi Willig. Without further ado, if I could ask everyone, if you haven't yet, to please mute yourself. And then if you have a question, you can signal it. And if Rabbi Willig can call on you or something during the shiur, great. If not, we'll leave some time at the end for questions if that ends up being easier. Rabbi Willig.
You can also try a chat, although I don't see the full chat. I see only a few words. I sometimes can respond to that too.
Look at that, Rabbi Willig with the chat. Wow, it was worth it.
I don't know how it appears on my screen, so I sometimes see a few words and I don't like the whole message. But okay, I'm trying to think. When was I last in the yeshiva? I know I gave a shiur. I came late once. It was that
was this? Wasn't that? I think that was this year. That was this year.
Was this year?
Yes.
Was this year? I usually don't come late, so when I come late, it's the reason I came late is I was in Yad Vashem. That's why I was late, and it's hard to get out of Yad Vashem if I've ever been there. I was with my wife with a rare opportunity to spend time. We just lost track of time. I had problems. Oh, getting through the tunnels. That's what happened. I thought you go through the tunnels, you fly through. Oh, well. Anyway, that's my memory from a few months ago. So many of you people on the screen now. I saw you in, I guess it was in January in the Holy Land. That January was like 1,000 years ago. 6 months ago, and the whole world's gone upside down since then. But okay, the Mishnah says enough Kuf Lamed Gimel Amud Beis. Hakosev ves nechosav la'acherim v'nich esbanav masha asa asui elish en ruach chachamim nocha hemenu. Okay, Chachamim are not happy with what he's doing. Not happy with what he's doing. It's called Oka Nachla Daraisa. That's it. It's true. There's a Rashbak's opinion. It's not Kashur. We'll leave that out for the moment. So the simple read of this Mishnah would indicate that the proper way in which individual should bequeath his possessions to the next generation is to follow the precise letter of the laws we read in last week's Parsha, which is Minyana D'Yoma, not just because you're finishing Yesh Nochlin, but because the Parsha Shavua, both last week and this coming week. Wait a minute, if you're in Eretz Yisrael, it was already the week before. But if you're in America, I think most of you are in America, it was last week's Parshas Pinchas, and it comes back again in Parshas Maseh. Anyway, you can account for anyone. Everyone learns Maseh this week, whether with or without Matos. So, B'no Slavchad. If the B'no Slavchad story, that is the background upon which the Torah HaKadosh tells us the full laws of Yerusha, which you've learned from Shor Be'iyun in Parak Yesh Nochlin. Bottom line is, as the Psukim themselves confirm, if there's a brother, he gets it all, and the sisters get nothing. And how does that fly in America today, or even in Eretz Yisrael for that matter? You can imagine there's one brother and 9 sisters, and the father leaves $1 million, so the whole $1 million goes to the brother, and the sisters get 0. Well, the Torah says so. That's it. The Torah said so. Torah said so. We're going to argue with the Torah. I want to begin this year by giving you a verbatim citation from the Sefer Gesher HaChaim. Gesher HaChaim is primarily about Avelus, but you know, Yerusha, Avelus are a little connected to each other. The Gesher HaChaim writes as follows. There's a minig to give to your daughters. It's also the Chok HaMedina, is the law of the land. He's talking about in Eretz Yisrael. The law of the land, you can't just disown your daughters. Quote, Mi she'ena barosho mahada lahashe betzavot gam labas. Whoever thinks ahead should leave in his will for his daughter as well. Number one, minikovei halacha. That's a chiddush in this context. Two, she shouldn't take it by going to the secular court, and they're going to cause riv and machlokas. That's the biggest problem of all. It causes fights. And here's a frightening citation, and I read it verbatim. Talmud Chacham Asher Echad. There was a one rich Talmud Chacham, probably in Yerushalayim. There probably wasn't even more than one. How a rich Talmud Chacham in Yerushalayim is almost an oxymoron. But it was a Talmud Chacham Asher Echad. Listen carefully to the words. What did he do? Hinchel b'tzavah es kol rechusha pi Torah. Found the Torah. The Bechor got pishnayim. Other brothers got the rest. The sisters got absolutely zero. He had one son, had three sons. Gave 50% of the Bechor, 25% each other of the other sons, and the three girls got zero. And here's the frightening part. Hinchil sina, he bequeathed hatred, v'tachros, and competition, upirud, and divisiveness, v'mishpachto, in his family. Arasha amru abrios, the people said about him, shlo kedai hoyo lahasher rechush, would have been better had he died penniless, rather than lahorish sinna, to bequeath hatred. Now, you and I know that in today's world, they say in America, where there's a will, there's a fight. And too many people are fighting about Yerusha. My history goes back, there's not enough time for me to go into all the intricacies of Perek Yesh Nochlin. I guess we should really say a few words about it. How do you go against the Mishnah? Yeah. So in the Yerushalmi, the Marav Fulda explains on this Perek Ches Halach Avav, why in Ruach HaChamim Noche Menu, Yemechar Cheriv Ben Bonav v'Ben Achem Shenos Alehem. You're causing fights. The children expect to get the Yerusha. All of a sudden, the guy gives all the money away to somebody else. So he gives it away, of course, as it works. He made a tremendous fight between his sons and the recipient. And if he plays favorites to one son, it's a worse fight. It's a fight within the family. That's the pshat of the Mara Fulda. It's terrible. Mechar Cheriv. Terrible. Matal Kina Ben Achim. Can be jealous of one another. The Rambam writes, Pegvav Halachic Gimel and Nachlos. Tzivu Chachamim. So Yeshana Odom Ben Abonim Bechayav. I feel it b'davamua. Shevola de tachos v'kina acha Yosef and Yosef. The Gemara in Shabbos says, "L'olam al Yavakel Odom Ben Abonim." Yaakov Avinu played favorites to Yosef, and we end up in Mitzrayim in Golus as a result. So says the Gemara Masech Shabbos in the first parak. So some want to say the Rambam says B'chayav, but that's not as soon as he's about to die, because it says in Mefurish Gemara. Let's go back to Yesh Nochlin. Kuf Lamed Amad Aleph. We started Kuf Lamed Gimel Amad Beis. Kuf Lamed Amad Aleph. Rav Yochanan ben Brok Omer Im Ama Al Misharor Liyosh Dvarav Kayamin. So if a person has three sons and he wants to give all the money to one of the three sons, be Yerusha, it works. How can it be? The Mishnah Kuf Lamed is against the Mishnah on Kuf Lamed Gimel. How can it be? So the Bach says, if it's just in the middle of this, he's 50 years old and he's doing it. That's one thing. That's terrible. It's towards the end of his life. He sees he's going to die soon, and he does it. The Mishnah Kuf Lamed, there's no problem. That's what he says. It's very difficult to understand that is really correct. But I have the word. If the whole purpose of this prohibition of the Mishnah Kuf Lamed Gimel is to avoid fights, today the result is the opposite. If you follow the laws of the Torah, you're guaranteeing fights as per the testimony of the Gesher Achayim. They'll ask me, am I some kind of reform rabbi? I'm going to say, well, the reason for the mitzvah or the Easter is this, and the reason no longer applies, so we change. This sounds reformist. The answer is no, I'm not reformist at all. It is true, lo darshina and tama dekra. That's true. Lo darshina and tama dekra. We have no right to follow the reason if it's against a pasuk. But I have a klal. Darshin and Tama de Drosha. With an explicit pasuk, that's where Machlokas Rabbi Shimon and Chachamim by Almona Ashira, as we well know. Could be in Hilchos Melech also in Sanhedrin. But here there's no psukim of Roshim at all. It doesn't say it can't be Ma'av Nachla. It's a drushes Chazal. It's not a pasuk at all. When it comes to drushes of Chazal, in my humble opinion, we do darshan time of the drush. I could try to give you other examples of where this is coming from, but just make things brief. I think it's true when it comes to the laws of Chalamoid, where there's a drushes Chazal about Isach ben Chalamoid, and therefore, so they cause a worse result, as Yerushalmi would have it. Maybe you should go to work on Chalamoid. We have it in Los's go to do, which is the drush and not to make machlokes. You have half tefillin on, half tefillin off. It's better that way to avoid a worse machlokes. Could be relevant in Hilchos Nida as well, not for now. The Ramah writes as follows, and I quote the Ramah, Reish Nun Zayin Siv Zayin. Harotza lachlok nechosa rachimoso shle'arivu yoshav achrav harotza lasos seder tzavah bodabari. Do this and this. Apparently it's a good thing. Now, forgive my phone. The Ramah, the Holy Ramah, in two places, in Even Ezer and a Choshen Mishpat, has something which is called a Shtar Chatzi Zochar. Now, we always say that Ramah is a Renaissance man. He had certain liberal tendencies, the Ramah. And so instead of following the strict biblical rule, he actually gave the girls a half a share. Not equal, but in those days, that was also considered very progressive. Well, you know, that's called the Shtar Chatzi Zochar. The Ramah writes in Siman Reish Pei Aleph Siv Zayin, this concept exists. And the Maharsham, who lived 100 years ago or so, and he was the main posek in Galicia, is wondering why it's not being used anymore. It's a Nefurish Ramah. It's a very sad answer. The sad answer is that all the girls are going to secular court to get a full share. So why give them a half a share? They're going to go to court and get a full share. Very, very sad. If you go to court, it's an Isur of Arkos, it's an Isur of Gezel. So therefore, it seems to me that presently we should opt for what the Ktsos HaChoshen called a Shtar Zochar Sholem, which means you arrange that your children will all inherit equally. Now, it's true, it's against the Pasuk in Chumash, but if you do it in a halachically proper way, and it has a sanction of Gedolei Torah, as Rav Tukachinsky, the author of Gesher HaChaim. In more recent times, we have in Eretz Yisrael, Rav Zalman Nechemia Goldberg endorses this. In America, Rav Shraga Feivel Cohen has a whole book about this, called Midor L'Dor, to allow the assets to be divided equally among all the children. This is, again, I'm going to, because I know my time is somewhat short, I'm going to go right to this, and try, if we have time, I'll go back to the Sukkos and Baba Basra as we go. What is a Shtar Chatzi Zochar? Well, what does it mean? It means as follows. This is a Ramah quoted from earlier sources. The Ramah has it in two places. What happened was like this. You want to give your daughter a half a share, but it's against the Torah. So they contrived the following scheme. The father in his lifetime indemnifies himself to a large sum of money to his daughters. Let's say he has 2 sons and 2 daughters. He writes a document of indemnity. I hereby obligate myself to my daughters to the sum of, you fill in the blank, Bosai, let's say $10 million. I'm throwing that as a sum which maybe for most of the people on the screen is more than you have. All right. If you think you have more, 50 million, 100 million, sky's the limit. There's a condition. The condition is that in case the heirs, the Torah heirs, will abide by the conditions of the last will and testament. So the guy, let's say he has $1 million and he has 2 sons and 2 daughters. By Torah law, the sons get all the money, the daughters get zipped. If there's a Bechor, he gets 2/3 of $1 million, and the other one gets 1/3. And if there's no Bechor, they split $500,000 each. He wants each child to get $250,000. He writes that in his will and testament. My estate should be divided equally in 4 parts to my 2 sons and my 2 daughters. If my Torah heirs will agree to abide by the laws, by the last will and testament, then this obligation is null and void. You can make it a Tanai Kofel, which is this week's parasha again, the parasha Bnei Gad Bnei Ruvain. You can incorporate it by reference to Numbers chapter 32. So that's it. So now the person dies. What are the sons going to do? They have two choices. They abide by the last will and testament. They split, everyone gets 1/4. If they don't, they'll get nothing. The daughters will get everything because the father owed $10 million to the daughters. A credit that comes before an heir, as you well know. They'll get zip. So we made a shtickle over here that it's what's going to happen at the end of the day is that the last will and testament will be followed because the Torah heirs, if they don't follow, get 0. So it's in their interest to follow it. That's the Ramaz Shtar Chatzi Zochar. As I said, the Ktsos has the Zochar Sholem. There's no difference in principle between the two. And that's what I advocate. Let me give you some history. I believe it was more than 40 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. Rabbi Shechter Shita told me, you have to write a simple English document that everyone can understand to have this possibility of obligating yourself to your daughters, because otherwise the tremendous fights are happening. So I did it. I printed it in what was then known as Chavrusa. I think it still exists. Yeshiva Rabbinic Alumni publication. It was printed in the Chavrusa many, I think it's in the 1970s even. That's my recollection. Can't say exactly when it was printed, but a long, long time ago. Fine. And I left it at that. I thought I'm off the hook. Let's assume that was 1977 approximately. 30 years later, Rav Shechter Shlita comes to me a second time. You have to write an article that people should divide the money between their children equally. There you give the opportunity to do so in any way they wanted to overcome and sort of circumvent the Dinei Yerusha. But you didn't give any recommendations. So I wrote another article. This came out in something which is called Torah Web, TorahWeb.com. It came out in Parshas Noach of 2007. It's called Inheritance Without a Fight, Writing a Will in Modern Times. And why Parshas Noach? It starts off with Rashi, Parshas Noach. Chum said to his brothers, Adam had 2 sons. One killed the other because of the inheritance of the world. Now he wants a 4th son. That's in Parshas Noach. Bottom line is that, unfortunately, it can be terrible fights. Terrible fights. So I believe dividing equally is the proper way it should be done. Now, to go further, I'll give you just a couple of Ma'amakomos, so I want to look up further. Rav Zalman Nechem is found in Tchumen Volume Dalet, long time ago. Rabbi Cohen has a book, Kuntrus Midor L'Dor. This is what should be done. Yes. It is true that we want something to be going with Dinei Torah. So they suggest in the Sfarim that they write about it. You only give your kids all the money should be divided equally, but there's certain little things they should stick to the Dinei Torah. What are the little things? A person's Sfarim, his Shas, Rambam, okay, and his real estate. His house. Rabbosai, speaking from personal experience, if the person's not rich, the house is the lion's share of what the person leaves over. I'm speaking from my own personal experience. My father, Zichron Levracha, I'll start backwards. When my mother, Aleh Shalom, predeceased him, so he came to me and said he wants to write another will. And of course, he says, I'm a Bechor, you're going to give me Pishnayim. I said, I don't want 1 nickel more than anyone else in the family. I have a brother and 2 sisters. Please divide it 4 ways equally. I've seen too many fights in families. But you're a Bechor. See, I know I'm a Bechor. Please do it the way I asked, please. So he did it. He wrote a Shtar Zochar Sholem, and he indemnified himself over $1 million. I forgot what number was in the original thing. To my sisters. When he passed away, we divided everything that way. I think almost the whole estate was the house. My father didn't have any really money, but a house in Kew Garden Hills, when he bought it in 1958 and passed away in 2014, it went up something like close to 40 times the value. That's how it is in real estate over many years. So that was the main asset. So if you leave that out, that's going to be the Al-Pi Din Torah. There'll be a big fight in the family. So you can't. So you have this svara. You want it a token sum. Some say you put $1,000 should be divided according to the laws of the Torah. Whatever. This is the halacha. Now you ask a question. Why is it that the Torah did what it did? If we are guided by the morality of the Torah, what right do we have to play with it? Well, I already gave you the answer, to make shalom. But we still have an obligation to try to figure out why the Torah did what it did and gave all the money to the men and nothing to the women. I have no idea for sure. We can't guess. We just make an educated guess. I'm giving my educated guess. It's nothing more than that. Just I feel I have to say something. Moreover, Rabbi says the Mefurush Gemara B'Kama, I think that's Vav and Aleph, that Hishva cause of Ish Ish Chodinin Shabbatorah. I have the Gemaras behind me here. That's the advantage of speaking over here. All Shas is right behind your desk. Here we go. The Gemara is as follows. Yeah. What's the Havamina? Avodinin ish de bar maso matan in ishalo. A woman in time of the Torah Kedosha was not a bas maso matan. Women stayed in the house, took care of the children, and the husbands did the handle. They made a lot of money. Maso matan. Perhaps, that's just my theory, that's the reason why the Torah left all the money for the sons, because the Torah encouraged these gender roles. I know I'm speaking in a politically incorrect fashion, but it doesn't matter. The Torah encouraged, it's a Mefurush Gemara. Ishallah bas masaman. Go tell that to they want the glass ceiling to be broken. There should be equal number of CEOs and the Fortune 500 women as men. You know what goes on here in this country. But the Torah says, no. The Torah says, Isha is not a bas maso matan. That's what the Torah is encouraging. In order for that to happen, everyone knows the first million is the hardest. So the money has to be inherited by the sons. The sons will make it to many millions, and they'll support their wives. So guess what? It encourages the woman to stay home and take care of her children because she doesn't have to go into the marketplace. And it also encourages her to get married because she doesn't get her father's Yerusha. She knows she's not going to get it. So the only way she can live a comfortable life if she's married to a man who will get his father's Yerusha, already did get his father's Yerusha. So the whole family unit works out nicely according to the Torah scheme. Forgive me for digressing. How could it be that we now have something called singles communities, which never existed, to my knowledge, in the history of Am Yisrael? I'll just give an example called the Upper West Side, for those who know New York City. Upper West Side, and now there's the Upper West Side. We don't go into that right now. I see at least one person from the Upper West Side is smiling. Where it didn't never happen before. The truth is, now it's in Kew Garden Hills, it's in Flatbush. Those who don't know, they're big singles communities there. Why did it never happen before? To mind, again, check if I'm wrong in history, please let me know. You'll send Rabbi Gottlieb an email and he'll tell him, he'll forward it to me. I never heard of it before. You know why? Simple. The women had no income. They couldn't afford to move out of their parents' house. Couldn't afford to rent, not only the West Side, couldn't afford to rent anywhere. They lived at home until they got married. That's how it was. The Chavetz Chaim said so already. Chavetz Chaim said so in his famous piece about women learning Torah. He says in his Likutei Halachos and Masechta Sota, Daf Chaf Aleph, the olden days, he said, the women were under the influence of their parents, so they got married to their husband. Now, already 100 years ago, it was different. That's when Sarah Schneer started becoming active. The women were in the big cities, and they were not their parents anymore. So maybe there was some trace of singles communities even then. I don't know how the women who left their homes supported themselves. This I don't know. Check the history. Maybe I'm wrong. It was already 100 years old, this phenomenon. I think it's much less. And therefore, the Torah wanted it its way. But the Torah can't impose. Torah can't say a woman's not allowed to go to be a handler and make a lot of money. Just normally, she was not. That's my theory. The theory is correct or not, I can't prove it too. But certainly today, it doesn't fly. And the same thing with Bechorah. Bechorah was known as primogeniture. When I learned history many years ago, world history in high school, a couple of years ago I was in high school, Primogeniture, that was it. It was the landed aristocracy. And the oldest son, he took over the homestead. And the homestead was, of course, the main source of income. So, of course, the Bechor got Pishnaim. It made sense. Today, the people will be much more jealous of the Bechor for this particular reason. Primogeniture doesn't exist anymore, etc., etc., etc. Fine. This is the Yesod. Now, having said the Yesod, I want to say that it's time to discuss a few sugyas in Baba Basra as much as time allows. The particular obligation you can get on Torah Web, again, if you want it. I'll read the salient lines. I, the undersigned, hereby now me'achshav obligate myself to blank. I believe it should be the two daughters in my case. The sum of blank, effective immediately, but not payable until 1 minute before my death. Otherwise, I'll come after you right now. On the condition, I do not retract this obligation in writing at any time. The guy, well, he wants to change his mind. All the property which is mine at that time, real and personal, should serve as security for the payment of the said obligation. This is the first half. Paragraph 2. I hereby stipulate that my heirs, as defined by the Torah, shall be given the option of paying the above obligation, or in lieu thereof, of carrying out the terms as specified in my last will and testament, and in addition, carrying out all transfer of property upon my death, which are considered non-testamentary transfers. This is put by a lawyer. In accordance with applicable laws, if my Torah heirs abide by the terms of my will and aforementioned state laws, and the above obligation is null and void. So it's on a condition. Last paragraph. This obligation is undertaken by Kinyan Suda, Me'achshav, and the Bezin Choshev to avoid Asmachta. Yeah. The above conditions are made in accordance with the laws of Torah. Numbers chapter 32, signed, signature, and that's it. In my view, this shtar must be given to somebody to hold on to, either to the daughter, that's one person, or any Jewish person to hold on behalf of the daughters. I'm saying it's for a reason, because Rabbi Feivel Cohen is a beautiful kundris midor l'dor, which I endorse wholeheartedly, but in one place he seems to say that it takes effect even if it's kept in the person's drawer. I cannot agree to. If I had a document, I owe you $1 million to keep it in my drawer, it's nothing. It's making a joke. So I don't think that part is right. I think I have to give it to somebody. But other than that, I have another quibble with Rabbi Feivel Cohen's sefer. I'll explain to you in a minute. But before I get there, I'm looking at the clock. I'll try to get there before the end of this year. I believe, and I'm not sure I'm right, that people such as myself, I have almost no money. I mean, Baruch Hashem, I'm not Chalila B'chasa. I'm not complaining about anything. I think that I don't own anything singly. Zero. What does that mean? Baruch Hashem, I'm married for a long time, and from the first week we got married, we opened the joint bank account, Chase Manhattan Bank. It's still there, not in the Heights, now it's in Riverdale. Same bank account. It's a joint bank account. It's true. We may own a co-op. It's a joint name. My name and my wife's name. It's true I have a pension. My wife's the beneficiary of the pension. No, I may have an insurance policy. She's a beneficiary there too. So I don't own anything. Everything I own is owned jointly. In my opinion, whatever is owned jointly by any couple, we call this survivorship. Survivorship bypasses the laws of Yerusha. Yerusha is only what a person owns straight out after the person passes away. So then, you have to worry about Yerusha. These things bypass Yerusha. They go straight to the beneficiary. That's my view. My view is important for the following reason. Now, there are different ways how to overcome the problem. One is what we call a matana mechayim. I give, as we said before, a person can give all the money in his lifetime to one child over the other, or to his daughters equal to his sons. It's fine. The problem becomes a twofold problem. Number one, give your money to your children? What, are you kidding? What's left for you? Baba Metzia, I had Baba Basra, I had Baba Kama. Let's get Baba Metzia. We got all the Babas in. Baba Metzia, Ayin Hayam and Beis, Tana Rabbanan. Shloshet Soakin Veinanenin. Someone who's Kona Adon Yatzma. What's that? Hakosev Nechosav Lebanav B'chayav. You give your money away to your children when you're alive. Says the Shalah HaKodesh. Some do it. They get older. They give all the kids all their money. And what do they call for themselves? Shiurim Shemishayim Shialim Dai Kol Yemei Chayim. You leave for yourself what you think will last you for the rest of your life. Shtus Gadol. The Shalah, he's a very refined person. A Shtus Gadol. A terribly silly thing. And it's a Shtus Sheyachalav L'deit Avera Gadola. Mi Yodei Mayelad Yom. Ulay Yishapach HaGagal Al Ha'av. Maybe he'll lose his money. V'oy La'ava Sheyavu Al Shulchan Banav. Udava Kenegad HaTeva. That the father should be relying on the children to support himself. It's terrible. Okay, so what's the next Eitzah? Give it as a matana to take effect 1 minute before death. Shoach has called him Misasa. If you look at Gittin Chafam at base, it sounds like it should be a problem of Brera. Because a minute before he dies, no one knows he's going to die the next minute. So it should be a Brera problem. It's true, the Get Pashat and Sim Kuf Chav Beis, Sivkon Ches says it's not, we don't pass in that way. Because the Get Shchiv Mera works, even though it's Shoach has called him Misasa. So you should have, this came up with Baba Bastra as well. So we don't follow Rabbi Misharish and Gittin Chafam. Okay, but let's assume you can. How? How will you transfer the money to the daughters effective 1 minute before your death? How are you going to do it? You can't use Kinya Chalipin because Chalipin was Hadra Sudu Lamari. The Durham Ches doesn't work. You want to use a star? That works for Karka, not for Metaltalin. Oh. So, Pashab Shab, you can overcome this in Kuf Tzadi Hesif. Hey, by making a matana me'achshav u'l'shach as kol misa, like me'achshav u'liachas shloshi. That would work. And the Dogal Meravav there explains it's like guf mehayom peras yachamisa. Back to Yesh Nochlin. We had third Gemara. We had Kuf Lamed Gimel. We had Kuf Lamed Vav. No. We had Kuf Lamed Gimel, Kuf Lamed. Right. And now we're going to see. Let's see what else we have to see over here. Kuf Lamed Vav. Here we go. I'm a Fush's Machloikas over here in Kuf Lamed Vav on this topic. Kuf Lamed Vav of Guf Mehayom Uperas Yachamisa. Meferish. O Machloikas. Kinyan Aperas, Kinyan Aguf. I assume you learned this Gemara. There's a whole Machloikas over here. The Gemara has on the very last line, Mochar ha-ben b'chayei ha'av. Umesa ben b'chayei ha'av. What happened? The Mishnah says, what did he do? He basically makes guf me'ayom u'peres le'achamis. That's Lashon Gemara. Gufa me'ayom u'peres le'achamis. What's the din if the son sells it in the father's lifetime and the son dies in the father's lifetime? Amar Rav Yochanan lo kana lo keach. Why? Kinyan peres kinyan aguf. And therefore, the Kinyan Paris of the father prevents the son from selling it in the father's lifetime. Okay, this is Talmudic precedence, Rabbi Osai. Talmudic precedence. Important to understand what this is all about. Before I get there, I left one other Gemara. Since we're learning Yesh Nochlin, we should really quote all the Gemaras. The Ramban, you probably learned the Ramban. I know that in Halachic, the big into Ramban, Sefer Mitzvahs, it goes back to Rosh Yeshiva. That's how. Look what it says. It says in Ramban, mitzvah say sheshachan Rav Yud Beis shenimnanu banchilenu abana me'av not b'chor min ben agadol yaser echov. That's in Pishnayim. It's a lav. It's a lav. Mamish a lav. And therefore, the Gemara in Kuf Chavav Beis, our fourth Gemara. We had trying to give you a survey course of Yesh Nochlin in an hour. Kuf Chavav Beis. The Gemara discusses in the context of what? Masta Mashakasa B'Torah. That's a whole discussion of the Sugya and Kuf Chavav and Beis. Yeah? It doesn't work. Why? Because over Homer the Malka. It's a lab, it's an assay. However, so that would be terrible. But luckily, Tosfos seems to disagree. Because Tosfos, Rabbi Osai, Kuf Lamed Amid Beis, the next source. Okay, a lot of sources here, Baruch Hashem. Tamaloma lo yuchal levaker. Im toma l'rabbanan loma yuchal levaker. The mehetes yuchal l'shanas chelik b'choram. The yitzrich kol lemute. If Yochel mebroken, we understand to some extent. What kind of kasha is Tosfos asking? You need it for the lav. You need it for the lav. So if you look in the Orach Chaim, in Chumash, in Pashas Kiseitze, he says, the Orach Chaim says, if you're over in the lav, Tosas kasha is no kasha. So what does it mean? Kuf Chavav and Beis, Histam Hashakasa B'Torah, Mefurish Mishnah, Histam Hashakasa B'Torah means he's a bad guy? No, you can't do it. Why not? Kol Tanashim B'Maman Kayim, Master Hashakasa B'Torah, but Nashim B'Maman Davak B'Paskin Snow Kayim. The answer is, Yerusha is not straightforward Dine Mamanis. It's called Chukas Mishpat, writes the Rambam. It's a combination of Chok, which is Isa V'Heter, and Mishpat, which is Dine Mamanis. And that's why you cannot make a condition. Doesn't mean it's a lav. According to the Tosas and the Orach Chaim, it just means you can't do it. You just can't. Not that you're not allowed. You just can't. You can't. Okay. Says the Mishnah Kuf Lamed. We say, Master Mashakosa B'Torah, but someone who is not his Yoresh, okay, D'Rav Kayamim. So it means, Kuf Lamed again, Nostar Rishus Av L'Hancha L'Chol Mish Yirtzeh, means he has the power, but not the heter. But it wouldn't be allowed, etc., etc., etc. Fine. Let me go back where I left off. I sidetracked myself. So I wanted to show you the idea of Guf Me'Aperes HaChamisa. You know what that's called in America? A trust. A trust. T-R-U-S-T. A trust. That means that the Karen, what we call the principal, is given over to the children in the father's lifetime, but he reserves the right to utilize the money the way he pleases as long as he's alive. Now, what kind of halachic status does that have? People make a trust to avoid taxes to the federal government. Everybody knows that. We're trying to make sure that they don't take too much money from us. Okay, that's a trust. What's the halachic status of a trust? There are two kinds of trusts, gentlemen. Revocable and irrevocable. The U.S. government, that's what I'm told by the lawyers, at least in some states, they put a tax, an estate tax on a trust, only if it's revocable. Because if it's revocable, they say you're playing games with us. So we're going to tax it after the person dies. But it's irrevocable, no. So if it's irrevocable, we can suggest it's guf me'ayom, u'peres yachamisa, with a condition, even though it goes against the Mishnah, the Gemara we said before, kuf lamed vav, that the son cannot sell as long as the father is alive. But if it's revocable, maybe it's considered to be a regular Yerusha. Oh, so now we go, Rabbosai. I know my time is running short. Mitzvah l'kayim divrei hameis. Another Gemara, Rabbosai. Mitzvah l'kayim divrei hameis is a very important Gemara, and we have to understand how it applies in our situations. Okay, so what is a trust? A trust is like a company. It's a beri b'fnei atzma. It's something which is an independent entity. The difference is that almost all poskim deny the existence of a company as an independent. Rabbi Osher Weiss accepts it, but almost people say no. A company is a shutfus, right? Of all the shareholders. But when it comes to somebody dying and leaving an estate, you learned the Gemara. It's called tfusas habayis. It's an estate, and the Torah does recognize estate as a separate category. Well, the question becomes, will the Torah recognize a trust when the father is still alive in a separate category? The pashtus is no. The pashtus is no. We don't recognize these new entities. And therefore, again, what's the halach of a trust? It's a very, very serious question. I know my time is running short. Let me go a little bit further to try to give you my pshat. Now, I told you before, in my view, a bank account, the survivorship bypasses the Din of Yerusha. That's my opinion. What about, much more important than a bank account, the home? The home. So, I thought the same thing applies. So I'm going against Gedolim in both. In the case of a bank account, there's a saint called the Mishpatecha Yaakov, Rav Tzvi ben Yaakov from Tel Aviv, who says, he gives you the language of the bank, and he says, what it really means is it goes through Yerusha. It goes through Yerusha. I don't think that's correct. I think what fundamentally exists in a bank is that the bank takes $1 million from the couple, and the bank puts that in its investments, and it owes the couple $1 million. It owes the couple $1 million, and therefore, in survivorship, if it owes, Avram and Sarah, whoever dies first, the other party receives the full measure of the money which is owed by the bank. I still think that I'm right and he's wrong. What about a dira, an apartment? So that's Pischei Choshen is from the old world. He was a great man, Rabbi Bloy. He thinks if a couple buys a house and it's in their joint names, hard to believe it. It belongs only to the husband. Yes, they wrote both names for the taboo because the law demands it. It doesn't really mean it. It belongs to the husband only. I mean, I believe, I'm surprised that Rabbi Bloy wrote such a thing. Number one, it's counterintuitive. Number two, the way it works in Israel these days is that the parents and both pay for it. How can the wife's parents be expected to pay for it and the daughter's name is on it, but it really belongs only to the hubby? I don't accept that for one split second. I love Bloy's Svarim. I'm not asking. So how does it end up being with survivorship? Here's my pshat. In a third Gemara in Masechta Baba Basra, or fifth, I think it's a fifth one now. We've had 5 Gemaras so far in Baba Basra, plus a couple of Rishonim. Kuf Lam and Baba Mebeis. Again, a new concept. Nichse loch v'acharecha leploni. I hope by now, guys learned Yesh Nochlin are getting a little hana here. We're putting together things from all parts of the Perek to bear on our discussion. That's what it really means. They buy a house, Avram and Sarah buy a house, they could buy it from John, they could buy it from Chaim, doesn't matter. He's selling it half to each. I believe what's written in the deed is right. But the understanding is that whoever dies first goes to the other party. So on one half is nichsi to the husband, to Avram, acharecha l'sara, half l'sara, v'acharayich l'Avram. So it works. Kain nirali. That's what I'm saying, Pshat. That's again my opinion. Again, what happened to mitzvah the kaim divrei hameis? So here are both sides. I have to ask Mechila. I'm not sure how far you got in Masechta Baba Basra. Rabbi Gottlieb said you learned Yesh Nochlin, the beautiful Perek Yesh Nochlin. But as you probably, if you got that far, if you look in Perek Misha Meis, also it's all about Yerusha. It's really one big hemshech. I don't know how far you got. But on Kuf Mem Tes, they quote a concept of mitzvah l'kayim divrei hameis, which I'm sure you learned somewhere in your limudim. Tosfos is the following question. Okay, Rava had a story. Mitzvah l'kayim. Why didn't Rava do what the person who died said? Because of mitzvah l'kayim divrei hameis. Another question. Divrei shchim rak ichsuvim chimesurim dami. You must have learned that. That's also in Misha Meis. I'm not sure if you got that far, but I'm sure it came up somewhere or other in Yesh Nochlin. So it's a famous cloud, a special takana. Divrei shchim rak ichsuvim dami. Why? Just say mitzvah l'kayim divrei hameis? What's going on over here? What do you need a special takana for? Just say mitzvah l'kayim divrei hameis. So in order to answer this question, Tosfos is a very far-reaching chiddush. Tosfos in Baba Basra Kuf Mem Tesam and Aleph. What do they say? Listen carefully. Listen carefully. Oh. Read Tiritz. Lo Armina and Mitzvah L'kayim divrei hameis. It's the last line of Kuf Mem Tes. Ela hecha sh'ushpiyad sholish. Hodetnan. Right? Tosfos is quoting a source, or the Tanya, Shekel Libni, etc. And you have in Masechta Ksubis, there are other precedents where we have this concept of mitzvah l'kayim divrei hameis. It's only if at the time that he was made this tzavah, it wasn't in his hands, it was in somebody else's hands. It was hushtach mitchila lekach. Then we apply mitzvah l'kayim divrei hameis. Otherwise, we do not apply the principle of mitzvah l'kayim divrei hameis. All right. So says Tosfos and Kuf Mem Tesam and Aleph. But there's a question. There is a question. And the question is as follows, a very serious question against this Tosfos. What do you do with the case of the Gemara? Someone's Meshachrer a Shifcha. We apply the principle of Mitzvah L'Kayim Divrei Hameis, even though it's not hushtash to somebody else. Tosas quotes off Mem and Aleph in Gittin. Plonish Shivchas the Korach Tasa the Korach Ruach Mitzvah the Kayim Divrei Hameis. I both say I'm not lazy. I'll bring a Gemara out. I have Gittin behind me too. Still have some shas left in the back, but all right. Gittin of Mem and Aleph. Yeah, Plona Shivchasi also Lishkuras Ruach. You make sure to emancipate her. Why should you emancipate her? Because presumably because of what? Mitzvah L'Kayim Divrei Hameis. Those 4 words, by the way, to my knowledge here, looking on the side, do not appear in Masechta Baba Basra. They found the Gittin and Ksubas. But okay, but it's clearly a halacha. So, and there, what? There, she's not in someone else's. The shivcha still in the. Wasn't mash the shivcha to somebody else. So again, what do you do in the case of the Gemara Gittin? He says as follows. Oh, he answers no. It's not hushas retchila b'chlal. No, shiur it's different because shiur is more important. Different. The Mordechai Bababasa gives a different teretz. As the shivcha is hushas retchila l'kach. Because the shivcha can go wherever she wants. So although there was no halachic hashlosha, hushtash is not a din, not a de jure, it's a de facto. And de facto, the shivcha can do what she wants and go where she wants, and therefore it works. Based on this, Chaim Oyser has a chiddush nifla v'nora. I'll give you the Maramokim. It's an Achi Yezer, Chelik Gimel Simon Lamadalad, and Chelik Dalad, the new one, Simon Samavav. It's a matter of the Metzias. And he says, all wills are binding. Well, you must learn the Gemara. Ein matana le'achamisa. How can the will be binding? And you can't be Morish against the Torah. Says Reb Chaim Ozer, yes, you can. But since and since it's in the ability of the daughters, in my case, to go to secular court and win, it's hushlish mitchila lekach. I believe he's correct according to the opinion of the Mordechai, not according to the opinion of Tosas. The Shulchan Aruch passes like Tosas. So therefore, Reb Chaim Ozer is a little bit schwer. Reb Moshe Feinstein in Shuva, Eben Ha'ezer Chelik Aleph Siman Kuf Daled, has a whopper chiddush. A whopper chiddush. He says you don't need a Maisa Kinyan. Why? Because you know in advance it's going to be Kappa through Dina de Malchusa, whether you like it or don't like it. What does he mean? He means that all Kinyanim are only for the purpose of Gemiras Das. Here is Gemiras Das for sure, so there's no problem. Where does he get it from? Enkin Achamisa. A 5th Gemara in Ksubis, Kuf Lamed Aleph and Aleph. For both, I give a quick look. I know my time is running out. I'm trying to finish on time. Kuf Lamed Aleph and Aleph. Talks here about something called Ksubas Benin Dichrin. What does that mean? In the olden days, a man could have more than one wife. Even today, it could be one after the other, more than one wife. And a Gvir wants to give his daughter money. Part of the Nadan, that's what the deal was, to marry my daughter, you want to take some money from the father-in-law, you know how it is. So, but he wants to make sure that the money will go to his descendants. Nishma Fremda. What will happen if it's, Rabbosa, you ever hear of Takana Shum? Never heard of it? Rabbeinu Tam is Matakein. That's why it's called Rabbeinu Tam, not Yaakov Ishtam Yoshev Aholim, the way we assume. No, because V'tam Larik Kochachem. Pasuk in the Tochacha, case of a person who gave all his money to his daughter as a dowry, then his daughter died. So he has no money, goes to the son-in-law with his new wife, and he has no daughter. So he made a takana, in the first year it all goes back, and they made the second year half goes back. So it's similar idea over here. A person gives money to his daughter. The daughter of a long life, she'll live 120. But in times of the Gemara, there could be another wife, a co-wife. So he'll marry a co-wife. What's going to happen? They're going to have many children, for sure. His daughter will have 1 son and 10 daughters. The other wife's going to have 9 sons and 1 daughter. what's going to happen to his whole from Megan, his whole $1 million? 90% goes to Fremder, right? To the sons of the other wife. That's Nichlas ben Dichrin. No. It's Tanai Bezdin. What does it say? Nichlas ben Dichrin will go automatically only to the male sons of this particular wife. My daughter, no one else. Okay, very nice. And I've kuflam and aleph and aleph. Fine. How does it work? Without Tanai Bezdin. How does it work? So Tosfos is at the very end of kuflam and aleph from at the bottom of the Tosfos. How does it work? Let's take a look. What does Tosfos say? They quote the kuntras, the wide lines. Ma'be b'loshen yardun. Ain't the makal dava shein ba'olam. Came shein matana bo'el li'acha misa. As a bana kfar ba'olam. They haven't got married yet. Kfar ba'olam. Uvelot Tanai Bezdin kona. Frekt Rabbi Moshe ain't matana li'acha misa. Answer Rabbi Moshe. We paskin and Kiddushin Daf Testament Beis. Omdu v'kitshu. Hey, and advarim anikdim ba'miro. You don't need a Ma'aser Kinyan. If you don't need a Ma'aser Kinyan, it can take effect after death. Pillei ploim mamish. Moshe's pillei ploim. If you ask me, that's not the pshat in the Gemara at all. Not at all. It's a matana mechayim. Look at the last Rashbam. I don't have time to read it now. The last Rashbam indicates that. It's a matana mechayim. If you take a look at the Rashbam, it's a Mishnah. Kuf chavavam and beis. Our last source. Kuf chavavam and beis. What does it say? Mishnah says that it's considered to be a matana mechayim. That's what it's talking about. Again, riba lechem b'yadiachem v'ov kayomin amim mishim Yerusha lo maklum. So it has to be mechayim. That's what I would have said. In any event, Rabbosai, how do we paskin? Says the Binyan Tzion in the Tshuva. Tosfos wins because the Shulchan Aruch quotes him in Hilchos and Choshen Mishput. Reish Nun Beis of Beis. However, the Binyan Tzion says that only if the Yorshim are muchzakim, they have the money. But if they're not muchzakim, he claims that Rov Rishonim are against Tosfos. And Mr. Kind of Remeis applies in all situations. Okay, but most poskim say we don't really follow that. It's a big machlokes how to paskin in that question. Moreover, mitzvah the kind of Remeis say, I tell you to give it to somebody else. But that's not the lashon of a will. Will says, I, Mr. X, bequeath my money to my daughters. I'm not telling my an agent to give it to my daughters. He's bequeathing it. And that really shouldn't work. It really shouldn't work. It shouldn't work. It shouldn't work. Fine. I will say I'm basically out of time. Let me say once again that I believe that the Shtar Chatzizacha works, and Reb Feivel Cohen's fundamental concept that an asmachta is overcome by what I read to you before, a kinyan suda me'achshav ve'bezin choshuv, makes the ischayvus effective. Why am I saying this? Because Rabbi Yoshev says no. Rabbi Yoshev says no, and that's relevant to my prenup. Rabbi Yoshev never signed on my prenup, and that's presumably the reason why he didn't. Could be 10 other reasons. But he never came out against it either. You know why? If you look it up in Kovas Chuvas, it's the same simon, Kuf Samach Gimel, Aleph and Beis. He asked the Kasha, how does any Tosefes Ksuba work? It's always an Asmachta. So he answers, it's like from the Sefer Erech Shai, I think. No. As Rav Moshe said, whatever is a prenuptial agreement, you don't need a Ma'aser Kinyan. So it's not subject to Asmachta. Rav Moshe is right, but Rav Moshe applies Lachamisa. That's hard to understand. But it works here. So when I went to Reb Feivel Cohen to give a haskama to my prenup, this goes back to 1992. We go back a long way. He said, well, as far as Asmachta, I knew I had him. I wrote a whole sefer that works. You know, it's against Rabbi Yoshev. He's a big Rabbi Yoshev man. What can I tell you? But he wasn't ready to sign it on my. I had a case 3 years later where he said it's okay, but he just didn't want to sign. Fine. Anyway, it seems to me you should identify yourself to the daughters. Rabbi Feivel Cohen is a very complicated and convoluted situation. Complicate yourself to a third party. He's afraid of what if there'll be a knunya with one son with other daughters. I don't know what about knunya. If the knunya, just rip it up and go to take the secular will and just forget what the Bezin is going to say. It didn't maruba, Bezin will pass him. I'm not worried about that. Another thing, I believe it's very important. If a woman is married by she can't indemnify herself automatically she's her first. The money belongs to the husband. His first dibs. You saw in Pergesh Nochlin. The Baal Kolokech Rishon. I'm sure you saw this. Takanas Usha. I'm sure you learned about all these things. So I wanted to say, you don't need it. Because in Halacha, you learned this. But you also learn, I'm sure, that's only b'muchzak and not b'roi. And the question is, what's what? Rav Shechter Shtita talked about a famous din Torah, Rav Unterman, the Zivik Sheni. Is a bank account roi or muchzak? I don't know if you spoke about it in your shiur. So I thought that it's roi, it's not muchzak. The bank owes you the money. So if you can't go to the yash in your wife's bank account. I'm not discussing a joint bank account, as I said before. The kids and Nimitz, my time is up. It's already 4 o'clock on the dot, and I never like to go late. So I will stop here, sort of in the middle, but you have many, I think we refer to close to 10 sources from Perek Yesh Nochlin, with a couple of them from Misha Meis. And I hope that the Talmidim who spent the whole Zman learning it, see how all these Gemaras are relevant to Halacha L'Maisa. But at the end of the day, go back to the Gesher Achayim. It's appropriate that a person writes a shtar zachar sholem using my document or some similar document, and I believe that a spouse should leave all the money to the spouse, because it's based on the shalah that the father and the mother should be in charge as long as they're both alive. I was told by a businessman, multi-millionaire, it may be not so wise to leave all the money to the wife. What happens if she remarries and the second husband takes all the money away while they're married? His kids will get nothing. That's for multi-millionaires. But for plain people, I still think the money should go only to the spouse initially. So the surviving spouse should then write another document giving it to the children. That's what my father did. He came to me, said, my mother passed away. I had to write a new will. Obviously, the old will was to my mother. Now I write a new will. One of my Talmidim wrote a new document that you can do it all in one shot. So Reuven and Rachel are alive, and they're 60 years old. They want to write a will. So Reuven will write it all to Rachel, but should Rachel predecease him, goes directly to the children equally, and Rachel the other way around to Reuven. Again, I'm not a lawyer. If that works, it's even better. But I have to stop because I'm over time. I want to thank Rabbi Gottlieb for the opportunity to say a shiur, because we're all zooming. I'm saying a Zoom shiur. I say usually 3 Zoom shiurim every day, and a day like today it's 4. When there are always extras. Yesterday was also 4. The day before, maybe there always seems to be extras going on. Some Zooming could be 3 to 4 shiurim a day, and it's a chance to be able to be Marbit's Torah in the middle of Corona. The greatest chus is to learn Torah and to teach. I thank you for giving me the opportunity to have the words of Torah spread throughout the globe. I take special recognition of my 2 rabbinic colleagues who are in the Holy Land. I assume one is in Efrat. Is that correct? And one is in Ramat Beit Shemesh. Anyone else in Eretz Yisrael here? Anyone else in Eretz Yisrael?
There are Talmidim sitting in the Beis Medrash.
Oh, wow. Oh, MTA is in Beis Medrash.
Well, MTA is the program from the Southern Hemisphere, and they're in a shiur room. That's a shiur room where they are.
Oh, beautiful.
But then there are other boys. I don't know if you see Stephen Lieber. I'm not sure what pictures you see. Atan Gold.
I see Stephen Lieber.
We have some boys who are in the Beis Medrash. That's in the Beis Medrash.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I'm so happy. So, Kimitzion Teitze Torah at Rashami Yerushalayim. And in the interim, Torah is going in both directions across the ocean on Zoom. We should be zocher to see the time when we will all be gathered together, B'tzion. And let's not forget that today's date. Today is Thursday, exactly 1 week after Shivas B'Tammuz, exactly 2 weeks before Tisha B'Av. We should be zocher that these 2 fasts, Tzoma Raviv and Tzoma Chamishi, with the others, Yile Beis Yehuda, the Sasnul, the Simcha, Moadim Tovim, when? V'ha'emes v'shalom ehavu. Yes, the emes is the Torah's emes that we read about in Parshas Pinchas, that the Bchor and the other boys, the girls got nothing. But you can't have only emes. Emes v'shalom ehavu. So you can have the emes for the svarim and for a certain amount of money, but the most important factor is shalom. I conclude with the Gemara in Ksubis. Gemara in Ksubis, Daf Nunam and Aleph. Nunam and Aleph and Ksubis, this is my coda, if you will, my end. as I said before, the most fervent hope of every parent that the children should get along. The most. Urevanim levanecha shalom al Yisrael. So when we sing it, we say it, we dance to it, we think it's two phrases. Urevanim levanecha, you should have grandchildren. And shalom al Yisrael, we should not fight with the Arabs. All right? We shouldn't fight with the, who knows what, the yeshivas and the chassidim and the satmas. And that's what we think it means. That's not what the Gemara says. The Gemara is in Ksubas, the last line of Nunim and Aleph. Kevan shebanim levanecha shalom al Yisrael lo asli chalitza v'yibum. Doesn't mean shalom on Klal Yisrael. It means shalom on the bnei banim. Urevanim levanecha, your own family will have shalom. So by writing a proper will and following the Gesher Chaim's advice, you hopefully will all be blessed. Urevanim levanecha shalom al Yisrael. Amen v'amen. Thank you for joining.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you, Rabbi Willig. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Have a wonderful day and have a great day. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you.
As some of you may be able to tell, Rabbi Willig's already on a phone call because he gets calls all day for shilas. So he ended that way. All right. Thank you, everyone. It's great to see everybody.